Good morning, I'm David and this is Katie Sadison, and this is our farm here, Zahncroft Farm, and we are the owners of Zahncroft Dairy along with my brother and sister-in-law. This is a third generation farm for my brother and I. My grandfather started farming here in 1934, and we took over here in 2010, running the business, milking cows. Our barn, which we built 2 years ago, and this barn houses 250 cows. We are currently milking about 245 cows twice a day. Cows spend most of their time in here. They eat, sleep here. Everything about the barn was designed for the happiness of the cow. We milk them twice a day. In the morning we milk at 4 o'clock and in the afternoon about 3 o'clock. So that is a large portion of my day spent milking the cows.
Hi everybody, my name's Doug Sadison. This is my wife Rachel. We're co-owners here of Zahncroft Dairy LLC.
All four of us really love the farm. Actually, all of us grew up on dairy operations and have a real strong passion for it. So really proud to carry on the Sadison legacy here in Womelsdorf, and also to have our kids be raised on a farm as well.
Yeah, my brother and I are twin brothers. We're the only 2 children in the family. We always work together. So it just became a kind of a natural thing that the 2 of us would continue the farm together. It does provide flexibility when you have 2 people that know all the ropes and one can manage things when the other's not there. It allows for each family to have a little time off from time to time, and it's been a good partnership.
So this barn, one important part of taking care of cows is having good ventilation so they have fresh air. And to accomplish that, we have the whole barn, when it's warm enough, can be opened up. So you see the side walls are very open to let in a lot of fresh air. And that is called a curtain that is actually open right now, but it can close as the temperature drops or it gets really windy or if it would start raining, and that's all controlled by an electronic automatic system. The barn, if you can notice, is we're actually at the high end of the barn. The barn is sloped 3%. And the reason for that is one of the daily tasks that needs to be completed is any manure, which is waste, has to be removed from the barn. And we accomplish that through a flush system. So these alleyways where the cows are standing get flushed with what we call brown water 4 times a day. That washes all the manure out of the barn. Where the cows are laying, what we call stalls or beds, we are bedding them with sand.
Sand is good for us to use because it's inorganic. That means it won't allow bacteria to grow in it, so it allows the cows to stay nice and clean. And it also, sand is nice because it's a material that we can use to recycle here on the farm.
So the sand gets kicked out of the stalls as the cows are coming in and out, and that's a problem because it ends up in the manure that we also have to get rid of. So how do you separate sand and manure from being one big mess? Well, since sand's really heavy, it will settle out of that liquid that's been flushed out of the barn. The liquid and the manure can continue on to what we call manure lagoons to be stored, while the sand is then settled out here. Once it's been dried out good here, it can be reused, and that allows us not to have to buy any bedding to use for our cows. We just keep recycling the sand over and over. The manure gets stored out here then in these lagoons, and then the liquid goes into the big one here, and that gets pumped back up to the white tower by the barn for the flushing that I talked about earlier. So it's one big cycle. It's like one big circle. It's a whole process that allows us to reuse sand and get rid of our manure. The manure gets put on fields as fertilizer. It's got a lot of nutrients that crops use to grow, and so in that regard there's no waste here. Everything's one big cycle of life.
We decided to come back to the family farm to help keep the legacy going, and we wanted to be able to farm on the same ground that our family had farmed on. And we choose to keep farming because everyone needs to eat. So farmers are your food source, which is why we farm.